Tommy D. I'm Tommy D. And today we're going to be changing the oil on the Beast back here. And maybe that's what I should have on my license plate, the Beast. But I tried to get that, but that name is already taken. Okay, so I'm at 99,140 miles, something like that, on my vehicle. And I narrowed it down to make it easier. I changed my oil every 5,000 miles, okay? And the reason why is because I use full synthetic. Now, some people say that the full synthetic oil will go 7,000 miles. No way am I going 7,000 miles on my vehicle. I mean, you guys think about it. The oil in your vehicle is like the blood that's in your veins, okay? And oil burns, oil breaks down. And as it starts to break down, it weakens. And if it starts to break down, you know, it can do some damage on the inner parts of the engine, on the inside of it. When my daddy taught me how to change oil back in the early 70s when I was a kid, he used the regular conventional oil, and my daddy loved the 10W40. He would always put that in any of his vehicles. But he would change his oil every 3,000 miles. And that's how he did it. He changed it every 3,000 miles. He would change his oil. And some people would say, oh, well, that's a lot. Well, that's what it called for back then. Some people go every 3,500 miles. But then there's some people that don't change their oil, period. You know, there's some, you know, you look into that oil, and that oil is just, it's like black gold Texas tea. Do you know how bad that is for you on your engine when you don't change that oil? I'm changing mine today, and the next time I'll change it, it'll have 105,000 miles on it, pretty close to it. I want to keep the numbers even, you know, 100 and, you know, last time I changed it was right at 95,000 miles, a little bit more, a little bit less. I want to keep it right before 100,000 miles. I want to keep it at those 5-number intervals, so I'll know when, you know, just in case if I misplace where I written it down at, you know, I'll know when to change the oil. But I'm going to show you the oil that I'm going to be using today to change it with as well. As you all can see, the oil we're going to be using today is going to be the Pennzoil Full Synthetic 5W30. That's what the vehicle calls for. We got 5W20 as well. So the vehicle actually calls for 5W20, okay? Now, in the wintertime, I like using 5W30 because it's a little bit thicker oil than 5W20 is. And I get this Pennzoil. I catch my oil and stuff like that. I always catch everything on clearance. You know, I told y'all I am a clearance shopper. I like shopping on clearance. And I got these 5-quart 1.25 gallon jugs of oil. I got them from, I believe it was Menards, and I got them on sale for $16.95 for each one. We'll be using the MicroGuard filter, which I got that from O'Reilly's, okay? I use the O'Reilly's filters. They're pretty good filters, okay? Those, I like using the Fram filters as well, but the MicroGuard, I like using those too. So that's the oil we're gonna be using today. Okay guys, now looking down here at the engine, as you can see, and I'm up on a platform. Back here in the back, that's where my oil cap is right there. Now, before I start to let any oil out at the bottom of it, I always take this off. The reason why I take this off is because you get better flow when you're letting the oil out. If you leave that cap on like that, it's kind of like, you know, you ever open up a can on one side? Remember those old cans you open it up with a can opener? You pop open one side, and how whatever's in it, it flows out, where, you know, it doesn't give a good flow until you open up the other side. And the reason why is because you let air into it, and air allows you a better flow. Now, and I also got right here on top, as you can see, right in this area right here, that's an oil catch can, okay? And we're gonna take that off and check that as well and empty whatever oil that's up in there. That oil catch can is there as you catch the blow by. They say that these 3.5 liter engines are notorious for having blow by, where the oil circulates and goes right back into the engine. The old stuff that is supposed to actually kick out, the old gunk and crap, it's supposed to kick out, it goes right back into the engine. Okay, so as we look up under the truck, the first thing I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to remove this big shield that's under here, bolts that are right up in here. And get that out of the way in order to get to the oil pan. just tightened that screw up right here. I just tightened it up in there. Now I advise you, I don't know exactly how many foot-pounds to put on it or how many inch-pounds to put on it. You know, I tighten it up nice and snug. You definitely don't want to over-tighten this thing here. You definitely don't want to do that, because you over-tighten that. I've seen somebody strip one of those. And when you strip this thing here out, you're going to have some problems. Okay, so now we get the camera up under here. I'm going to show you that's the filter that's got to come out, and that's where the filter comes out of. Now, the way that they got this thing is that when that oil comes out, when that filter comes out, that oil runs back right in this area right here. So I got to try to position this thing somewhere back here where it'll make sure that it catches that oil that comes out. So I'm going to say about possibly right there. That's where it should be. But we'll know in a moment. As I want you to know something, that, you know, oil changing is not a clean job. It's a dirty job. It could be a messy job. So, you know, I mean, be smart when you do it. I mean, put some old clothes on. Me, I had to take my other shirt off. That's why I got this, what they call undershirt wife beater on. But remember that a lot of stuff you get oil in is not going to come out in the washing machine. Just make sure that it's something that you got on it. Now, I want you to take a look up under here. You see where the oil filter came off at right there, okay? Now, I'm getting ready to clean all up around up in there. And what I'm going to use to clean up around in there with, first I'm going to spray it with some of this brake clean stuff I got right here. Now, before I put this filter on it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the oil on my fingertip, just about that much on my fingertip. You guys can see this or not. Bring that up, I don't want that too close to you. And I'm going to take it and I rub the oil around the rubber gasket, okay? Key is you want to keep that gasket soft, because when that thing goes on, it goes on there tight. It goes on there airtight, so no leaks come through it. You want that. This oil helps to keep that gasket soft. I'll be honest with you, I've seen this happen in the past because you live from experiences. I had a vehicle once when I was a kid, and I was 16, 17 years old. I didn't change the oil for a while. I mean, I didn't change it for a long time. I think I went something like maybe, and I did a lot of driving. I went like a half a year and didn't even change that oil. Was supposed to change every 3,000 miles. When I went to take that off, okay, the oil filter came off, and also the rubber seal on the oil filter. This came off and was stuck onto to the engine where it goes into. Now, I didn't know it was stuck onto it, okay? All I knew is I took the oil filter off. After I took it off and drained the oil out, I put another oil filter right on top of it and screwed it on it. And notice it kind of screwed on there kind of, you know, then kind of fast. I'm like, well, I guess it's on there tight. The minute I poured the oil in there, put the oil in there, filled it up and everything, started that engine up, looked down, and oil started pouring out of that thing. So I stopped it and took a look and pulled the oil filter off, because I saw it was coming from the oil filter, not from the plug, the drain plug. Looked on there, that was a part, the whole piece of the ate up old rubber off of it. So that's one of the reasons why I showed you. I sprayed some brake clean and went up in there and cleaned that thing real good, because you want to keep that stuff clean. You want to keep that cleaned off. When you put this fresh filter on there, you want to have a nice tight fit, but not too tight. This thing can't go on there too tight. Hand tighten it. I was with somebody once and they told me, oh, you got to make that thing real tight. Put the wrench on. No, you don't. You put that wrench on that thing and tighten that thing. You can tighten that thing down so far. Two things can happen. You can strip it, or you can tighten it on so tight that in order for it to come off the next time, you got to cut a hole into it and basically peel it off. I've seen it. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I've been there. It can happen. Trust me. Please believe me. Okay, so we got the oil filter in place. Now, before I put fresh oil on it, the first thing I got to do, the next thing I got to do, not the first, but the next, is I got to take the catch can off, okay? And the catch can basically unscrews from down here at the bottom. You screw that to hand tighten, okay? Now, they put a little dipstick in this thing, which is right here, where you can, like, take it out and look and see if there's any. But the thing about it is the dipstick is black, so it's kind of hard to tell how much oil is in there. So it's a whole lot easier to take it off. Let's see if I can get this around this way so you can see this a little bit better here. Where you can just take this off and, nope, that's tightening. Started going the other way, I forgot. To untighten something, you want to go clockwise with it. To untighten. To tighten, you go clockwise. And you get this to the point where it comes down. As that comes down right there, and let's see here. Okay, so with the oil catch can, which is right there off, this is the old oil that's going into it, and this is the blow-by. Take a look at that. It looks like molasses. Okay, so after that, the oil catch can goes back in place. And like I said, to go back on, it screws counterclockwise. Okay, another thing I failed to mention to you is that always make sure that you get that oil dipstick pulled out and cleaned off before you put the new stuff in there. Because if you got that old dipstick down in there, it still can be reading what it was on that stick from the old stuff, okay? So you want to take that out. Half of that jug down in there, and what I always do is always look up under the bottom and make sure, because if anything's going to be leaking, especially from the oil pan, because that sits down at the bottom, the plug, it'll start coming out. And as you can see, there's nothing coming out. Okay, there shouldn't be anything coming out from the oil filter as well, because that's been cleaned off and it's been put on there nice and snug. Okay, now that I know the pan, the oil drain pan plug is in correctly, now I can put that bottom piece back onto it. Checking the oil dipstick. It's showing that I'm about a quart low from where it is. It's kind of really hard to see it, so you gotta be, you gotta really take a look at it, because that new oil is really fresh. So I need to put another quart of oil in here. Now I can basically start disregarding all the old stuff. This is the old filter right there. It's all drained out. Put it in a box, put a top on it, and it goes into the trash can. Start changing your oil on a regular basis. Change it every 5,000 miles if you got full synthetic, and notice when you change your own oil yourself, how smooth that engine runs when it starts up. It's that quiet, Now, the thing about it is, some people say, well, I go and I get my oil changed and I let them do that, so I don't have to let somebody else do something to worry about it. I mean, that's fine and dandy, for them to change the oil on my vehicle, the cheapest place I checked told me it was like $90. It's a good Valvoline. These are companies that have been around for a long time. Even Shell Oil, they know what they're doing. They've been around for a long time. And they're basically putting the same thing in your car when you go to one of these oil places. You go to one of those fast 10-minute in and out oil places. I don't trust them, because half of the guys that work in there don't even have any type of auto mechanic training whatsoever. They basically just teach them how to train oil, to change oil, and that's it. So, with me, no. When I get ready to do the transmission fluid change, I'm gonna show you how I go through my transmission fluid change. Now there's something else that I've ordered and I'm waiting for it to come, and that's a cold air intake system. Okay, I've had one on my last 2 vehicles I've had one on my Expedition, I've had one on that blue F-150 that I've had. Okay? Cold air intake systems I think are great. They do increase your horsepower. Some people say that you can't tell. I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference in the sound of my engine. You know, the thing about it is engines run better when they get more air to them, more cold air that comes in. And that's what a cold air intake system does. It allows more air to breathe through that engine. The more air that breathes through that engine, the better it's going to run. To all the people that follow my channel, you know, I got my boy Craig that's down in Oklahoma. I got my boy that's in Alaska. I even got a friend that hits me up from Australia. So, you know, the thing about it is, it's, this YouTube thing, I'm new to it. I just started it this year. Things are picking up, and, I plan on things going further. I'm hoping that things will go further and things will go bigger, and we'll see what happens, we'll see what happens, I have a love for that game. Anywho, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful day. It's hot here in St. Louis. You can see I'm half dressed down to undershirts here because it's about 95, 96 degrees. And it's just not 12 o'clock, so it's going to get hot here. And, be safe out there, guys. Be safe. Be safe and try to love one another just a little bit more. See y'all next time. Have a good one.